content in like 3 weeks, and now I feel all out of sorts. So just stick with it. Hi, I'm Haley. I write as DeFore, and I said that this week I would do a comparison for all my freebie days. Mostly for this book, Down from the Tower. It was the last one that was free in February, and we're gonna go over if I thought it was worth it. So a little bit of backstory before I go into the numbers from February. In 2024, I released Down from the Tower. It had less than 10,000 page reads. It did not have a successful launch the first 6 months. I did give away 22,000 copies in 24. That did not equate to a lot of reviews. It did get a lot of attention though, and I do sell the fantasy books. They sell pretty well. They're almost always sell at events. So I think in the physical version, very worth it. And people remembered it from this February event. I had a signing on March 1st, so it was still free that day, and people would come up to the table and be like, oh, I just saw that book. Was it free? And I'd say yes, and some of them had downloaded it, some of them had not. It was still free that day, so it was like added publicity for that. I've done freebies in the past that overlap with signings, and depends on the signing, I think, on whether or not it's actually super successful or not. So for Down from the Tower, I've had 24,000 free downloads total. Well, a little bit less than that. Hold on. I've had 24 downloads and orders altogether. I've had, 24,000 freebies, which your freebie number is always going to be higher than your sales. That statistically makes sense. Of those 24,000, 22,000 of them were, 18,000 of them, my bad. 18,000 of those orders were from an event I did in October. So we're in March now, but the last one was at the end of February. So I've done several of these in the last few months, and I probably will not do another one for this book till the end of the year or next year, just because there's been so many free downloads of it already. If it's always free, it will never sell. So we've had 24,000 free downloads. 18,000 of those took place in October. That was a really good month for me on downloads. It was like mid-October, so from October to November, I did up my reviews. Unfortunately, this book still hangs out under 100. We can't get to 100. I don't know why, but hopefully it'll reach 100. I'd love to hit 150 by the end of the year. That feels reasonable to me. So we'll see. It's March right now. It is March 6th when I'm recording, so we'll see. 18,000, almost 19,000 in October. The next freebie I did was in December. We had basically 3,400. And then this one in February was 2,100. And I expected it to be less since we just did one in December. I think they're doing another one in June, which again, I'm probably not going to do. So I essentially have a little under 100 orders on Amazon, which is not very much at all for this book. I had to do some math. So I have only sold, real numbers, I've only sold 236 copies of this book between ebooks and physical books, which is not a lot, but I do have the special editions that sell for, I sell those for $50 a piece, and then the paperbacks are $25. So it's a little bit higher price, but people know what they're getting, and they either do or don't want to pay that price, or the ebook is free on KU and only $2.99. So it's not, I don't feel like it's excessive pricing. And obviously I'm making some sales, and usually I sell out of the special editions, and mostly or all the way out of the paperbacks. So they do sell well. I also feel like I should probably promote these more, but I'm mostly dark romance, so a lot of my promotion and advertising goes into those. I have to find a happy medium between them. But I've sold 236 copies since it released on July 25th, 24. Of those 236, 203 of them are from 24, which makes sense that it would be a bigger number. So for 6 months, I sold about 200 copies in 24. Of those, 120 were ebooks, and 83 were physicals. In 25, I've sold 41 books so far. 8 of those were ebooks and 33 were physical. So I do sell more of them as physicals. I also know the last time I looked, I think I was at like 11,000 page reads total for this book. Again, that's very low, but in the 6 months in 24 that it was available, it had just under 9,000. So we've already beat those 6 months in just over 2 months in 25, so it is doing better. All of that to say, basically, I think the freebies have helped with getting it more attention, and I know some people download freebies and then read on KU because it's like a checklist for them of what they want to read versus the mass amount of things that are available on KU. And also, I have this book coming out, Beneath Swan Lake. So now that this one is coming, I have people reading it to prepare. I think at the time I'm doing this, I have 43 pre-orders, which is pretty good for the fantasy stuff since I am still learning. Sorry, 34. I have 34 pre-orders for this as of today, which is, again, good for me. The first book only had 8, so we've gone up quite a bit. And the third book that has no title and no description of what it is has 4 pre-orders. So that's good for me in fantasy. I love these fantasy books. I love the way they look. I love the stories they tell. They look very pretty together. I think it's just a matter of learning to really market. I don't pay for ads. I pay for like advertising, learning how to do it on Pinterest and YouTube and what's trending and sounds, and analyzing what I'm doing on TikTok and Instagram. I pay for PR companies to promote certain books. I don't do it for the off-grid books because they're so little and I write them so fast. I don't feel like it would be helpful. I'm not doing it for the second book because I messed up my timelines. It got pushed. It took me a long time to write and get back into the fantasy mindset, so I didn't do any PR companies. It's solely me and my ARCs and my 2 lovely PAs who are helping me right now. I'm doing it by myself. Book 3, I will have an ARC team through a company, so it should be interesting to see how that affects the first 2 books, if they get more read-throughs or what happens. That won't be until fall, winter of 24, 25. The coffee is not kicking in as much as it needs to. But I do think that when your book is not getting a huge amount of attention, like this one, giving away those books, especially the first book, I feel like the first book's always what gets given away, gets on the freebie list the most. I think it helps. Like I said, I don't know if I'll do it before book 3 or if I'll wait till 25, 26. Because book 3 comes out at the end of 25 and book 4 essentially will come out in spring, early summer of 26, and then I can finish the series in the fall if everything works out. So I'd probably do another one before book 4, essentially. Only 34 pre-orders is not a lot. I don't ever get over like 75 pre-orders, so it's on the lower end, but it is fantasy and I'm still finding my way in there. So I think this was successful for what it is. It's a freebie. You have to accept you're not going to get a huge turnaround. You may not get reviews. You may not get pre-orders. You're just getting attention to the book. Also, Beneath Swan Lake is my 21st book. So I have a lot of books I can put free in other series if I wanted to. I have a whole holiday series I could toss free if I want to, for like, there's an April event, I think, and a June event. I could toss one of those in there. I could do an off-grid book. I could do one of the Sins and Secrets books. I have a lot of books to play with. Not everyone does. If you only have 1 or 2 books, you just gotta accept, if you're gonna do the freebies, that your income's gonna go. Unless they decide to buy it after the freebies end. It's all very up to chance. So, I don't know if this was helpful or not, but this is my experience with this freebie. And doing it 3 times in the last couple months, when 22,000 downloads and less than 100 reviews is not great. So that's also why I want to take a break, because I think these books are beautiful, and I think they tell really interesting stories, and I want them to have their time to shine, just like all the dark romances have. So, probably no more freebies for me, but if you're looking for exposure, I think it's a great way to do it. Also, something that I'm going to try probably sometime this year, but I don't know when, is putting like the second book. I'll probably try it with Kentucky volume, putting the second book free, and then you can either leave the other books the same price or give them like a sale. Like by the time I would have the option to do Kentucky, I think Nevada will be out by then, so I could choose to like leave Nevada the same price and do books 1 and 3 at a sale price and just see how that goes. Kentucky's the least read book right now of that series, so that's why I would choose to put it on sale. Games of Temptation, my newest release for the Sins and Secrets series, is also the least read book and the least reviewed, so I don't know if I would put that one on Freebie. I've never done books 3, 4, or the prequel for freebies for that series, so we'll see. But I'm going to play around with other books this year if I do more freebies. I'm trying to be light on them since I've done a lot, and I think I was looking at my numbers for all my books. I didn't do any freebies in 23 until the very end of the year, and I did none in 22 since I was only published for like 16 days or something. But between 24 and 25 mainly, I've done 45,000 free books, and I definitely have not had that many sales. So we'll see. I think it's definitely a chance game, and like knowing how to promote that freebie and promoting what's popular. So I hope this was helpful. I will still support them for people who are not getting a lot of attention, who maybe don't get any read-throughs. It's a way to get eyes on your books without having to pay for marketing that a lot of us don't have money for. So that is my takeaway. I will be coming back next week with a review of all the fairy tales in this book, Beneath Swan Lake. I am so excited for this. There is a blackout scheduled, I believe, for the Zon that week. I can't move this release date without giving up all my pre-orders. I have a lot of pre-orders set, so I won't be moving it. It's the last day, supposedly. So, if you want to support a little author, you can go on Baventi and get the physical copies. For events, I'm going to several events this year. I have them listed for sale. I'll have to check and see if they're up yet because I'm waiting for copies. But I'll have them up soon. Definitely by the time of release day, so I can mail these out. I'll have them at the Springs Book Bash. I'll have them at Dirty Daddy's. I'll have them at all my book signings through the rest of the year. Both this one and the special edition. I don't have my proof of that one yet, so I can't show you, but it's going to have pretty green edges, shamrocks. It's Raimundo and Odette. I love them. They set up book 3, which I'm really excited for. So I hope you give these little fairy tale retellings a chance and come back and hear about all the lore in them next week. Until then, I hope you have fun writing or reading, and that your week is filled with many bookish delights. Bye!